So, actually, I've got a question on base. I mean, I'm looking behind you. I can see all your Esther's awards there. So, congratulations on that.
My humble brag board in the background.
There's quite a few. You are perfectly positioned there. I didn't not see it. So,
pure
look, base.
Pure chance. I don't know how that happened. Total accident.
You airbrushed in a few.
Yeah.
So, look, you guys, base, undeniably doing things differently. Than other agents, but is it important for, especially independents, to have a USP to stand out?
Categorically, 100%. I mean, that could be something just as simple as your brand identity in your language, or it can be more complex in terms of how you deliver your job and the services within that. But I think, coming back to what we're talking about, suppliers or agents, it's a full market. We work in London where, there's more agents than takeaways, it feels like. We are everywhere. And so to get your business in front of a landlord or vendor is key, but also for them to align with that. And to, for so many agents, it's not just about getting a client, it's about fees, right? And that's a huge point of discussion and debate within our industry, always has been, always will be. And I've always been very clear on this point. If a landlord is looking at 5 different agents and can't easily differentiate any difference between the offering of those 5 agents and their brand and how they treat their clients, then guess what?
With fees.
If there's nothing to differentiate other than the fee, they'll pick on the fee.
Yeah.
As soon as you take the conversation away from that, we're like a lot of independent agents, we're very happy and proud to be independent. We're very happy and proud to be a small operation and a small team. We like the fact that we can deliver and convey, a personal service. All of our clients know who all of our staff are, and generally what each person does within the business, and that consistency. I mean, we've got one of our team, unfortunately, leaving us at the start of next year, but he's been with us for 6 years. And I know when he does finally go, we're going to get a lot of landlords going, wish the best, and how's he gone, and et cetera, et cetera. So in
your case, quite a lot of personal service there.
Personal
service, terms of the USP.
Part of that, and then we've underpinned that with a couple of unique service things that I touched on earlier. There's a couple of things we do, which is so property life skills for our tenants, and we do this thing called basic appliances, where basically all the key appliances, if your fridge breaks down, and there's one just hidden off screen on my shoulder here, we've got a fridge freezer in the office, and if a tenant calls us and says their fridge is broken down, the first thing we do is stick that in an Uber to the flat, and they plug it in. We don't charge our landlords anything, we don't charge the tenants anything. That's free for at least 7 days, and in an hour or two of reporting it to us, they've done. And also that benefits us, because it just the isn't ranting and shouting down the phone about the fact they've just lost 200 quid's worth of food in their freezer. They've got a solution. So if we can get them a new fridge in 2 days, great. But if it takes us 2 weeks, doesn't matter. They've got they've got to have a fridge in their living room, for 2 weeks or whatever it is. But so that's how we came up there. And those 2 things, among there's other stuff we do as well, but those 2 things are 2 things we know that no other agent in the country does, and they're things that a lot of landlords and a lot of our tenants really like about us. So they're one of those things that when we talk to a client and they're like, oh yeah, but your management's 18% and these guys will do it for 14.5, and it's like, great, go with them then.
Yeah, just on price.
We don't trim. We don't go, oh, okay, we'll match that. We'll just take this and this off. We give every client the same level of service, and that's the same whether their tenant's paying £1,000 a month in rent or £5,000-6,000 a month in rent, which is pretty much the scale of our portfolio. And they're all on the same fee structure. But the monetary value that client pays doesn't give the tenants or the landlord any different service that they get from us. And like I said, again, we don't trim that offering down to accommodate a fee structure. So, but it takes that conversation away from fees, because a lot of clients who come to us, it's often because it's primarily for 1 or 2 reasons. we look after a lot of people's former homes where there's a very emotional attachment. And actually, it's not about getting the most amount of rent. It's not about the voids. It's about who's going to look after their home and treat it almost like they did, with that backup of detail. And then the other client that we deal with a lot is clients who've been let down by other agents in the past. And often they've picked that agent driven by fee or some other sort of random sort of trigger that just at the time. And they've ended up
paying for it in the long run, perhaps.
And any good letting agent knows when it goes wrong in lettings, it can go really, really wrong. And so for the sake of a landlord saving themselves a couple of grand, they can be tens of thousands of pounds out of pocket. And again, highlighted with the pandemic the last 2 years, with the courts shut down, with, all this stuff. I mean, the way we manage things, we navigated the whole of COVID. Yes, we agreed some like rent reductions and we agreed some rent holidays with repayment schemes, but we didn't have a single tenancy go into non-agreed arrears. And all of that all of that is back up to date now. So we navigated the whole of COVID without any of our clients facing any financial duress, and equally holding our tenants' hands through that as well. And that is all part of the core sort of DNA of what we do and how we do it.
Okay, brilliant. Kristjan, that's been absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much. From fridges in Ubers to the depository, I'm not going to forget that. Thank you for that. But before I go, I see over to your right you have your hat there, whatever you call it. Could you wear that to my last question, please? Is that a real one?
It is a real one. That is proper. It's proper metal, handmade in the land of Viking helmets, India.
Fantastic.
Via the glorious service of Amazon. I'm going to try and do it. The one problem with this is with these glorious headphones.
It's not going to quite fit on with your headphones. It's not a good look.
I'm going to try and pivot that.
Okay, there we go. What do we actually call it? I just called it a hat, but that's not right. What would I call it?
Definitely a helmet. Definitely.
So before we go, Kristjan, tell our viewers something they don't know about Kristjan Byfield sitting there with his Viking helmet on. Go.
So the Viking thing is not just a gimmick. My mother is Icelandic through and through, sort of 8th generation born and bred from the land of fire and ice. So brilliant. I think, some people think this is just a gimmick I've lobbed onto just because I've got a big beard. But no, I am genuinely half Viking.
Fantastic. All right. So from Fridges and Ubers, the industry's favourite Viking, this has been Property Natter with Kristjan Byfield from Base and the Depository. Thank you very much, Kristjan.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Cheers, pal.
Cheers. Thanks a lot. See you soon.